Hey, hey, this is Ayuma Michelle, and welcome to Let's with Ayuma. This is an online safe space that I started for millennials just like me, where I'm empowering them to thrive with purpose. Today, we will be capturing and we will be covering how to get unstuck in life. You guys, which areas of your life do you feel stuck? Today's video, I will be sharing with you an inspiring story and a simple tool or tactic that you could actually use to get unstuck, right? But first, story time, right? So I was really inspired. I was really inspired by this story that I recently read in the Bible. And it's about a man. Imagine a man who was, I'm not sure whether he was paralyzed or he was a leper or he was, okay, what people call disabled, I prefer calling them differently able. Because apparently I read somewhere or I learned from somewhere that when somebody is differently able, right? Like, for example, blind, their other senses get like hyper, super, ginormous, amazing, like they become very good on the other senses. So instead of calling them disabled, I prefer calling them differently able because indeed they are, right? So that was a small commercial break, right? So I was inspired by this story of this man. Can you imagine? 38 years he had been waiting at a pool where many differently able people just like him, they used to go to this pool. It's sort of like a public pool where it was said, like some manuscripts in the Bible say that once in a while an angel of God would come down and stir up the waters. They call them the moving waters. He would stir up the waters, and when they stir up the waters, the first person to enter the pool would get completely healed from whatever it is that they were suffering from, or from whatever challenge they actually had, with regards to their health or with regards to, their body. They would actually get healed. So, but this man, can you imagine what it would take? First of all, he's waited 38 years, for 38 years, meaning he was not just born that day, meaning he was older. And you can imagine waiting for so many years for this one thing, and yet see other people who maybe are faster, who are stronger, who are more tactful, getting their way ahead of you. Does that sound familiar? I definitely see it, especially sometimes when I watch the news. I see it in how people say that young people can get access to dreams. Oh, you can start that business right immediately when you think about it as a child. First, you must finish primary school, and then after finishing primary school, you must go to high school, and then after high school and you get a living certificate, you must then go to uni or college, and then after going to uni and college, you must get a degree or a certificate, and then when you get that certificate, you have to go for maybe additional training, or you can then now start applying for a job through a CV. You then prepare this CV. After preparing the CV, you now put it out there and try networking and try talking to people, and maybe, just maybe, you will get a job. That is what the current job market is telling us, and the current circumstance and our education systems are telling us. And I honestly think it's such an obsolete system, because what I learned from early childhood scientists, I watched this in a Netflix documentary called Genius. You guys should watch it. You will get to understand how flawed our education systems are, because guess what? Children know who they want to be. From the moment you were a child, you already knew who you wanted to be. The only thing you lacked is capacity to build that skill, to build that gift, and to build that awareness of what this actually is. And I'd like to let you know that at the moment, the future work skills are completely different from what we have right now in the market. Yes, some of the jobs that we have right now in the market, in the next 5 or 10 years, they will be completely wiped out or replaced by technology. So you can imagine, right now there's somebody studying in uni, studying so hard for the exams so that they can get a degree, so that they can get that certificate, so that they can now start going on the job hunt. looking for a job which in the next 5 to 10 years will be completely wiped out or replaced by technology. Can you imagine how sad that is? I thought about that when I was thinking about this man's story. 38 years waiting for your magic to happen. 38 years waiting for healing. 38 years waiting for finally that thing that has been troubling you so much, or that opportunity that you desire to enjoy in life, finally to happen. That in itself is already a system that is flawed. It is already what is it called, it is not fair, because there are some people who get it and some who don't. And I don't believe that by the time God was creating us to be part of this life, he created us to be the others. The others meaning there's the 1% that succeeds and then there's the rest of us who just hustle. No, that is not us. I don't believe that God would have spent so much time and taken intricate detail to your design to create the beautiful you that you are, just so that you can hustle all your life, just so that you can struggle all your life. No. But this is what happened in the story with this man. So one time, Jesus was in an area where that man was. They came face to face. And do you know what Jesus asked this man? He asked a very, very simple question. He asked him, "Do you want to get well?" Very simple question. This man went into stories, he went into Bitenda Willies, he went story after story telling Jesus about how he is so disadvantaged, how other people are going ahead of him, how he has waited for so long, how it's just never going to happen. Do you ever find yourself in that place where finally somebody asks you, "How can I help you?" Where finally, if you're in the dating scene, the person who has the qualities that you've been waiting for, that you actually value, finally asks you, "Hey, can I take you out on a date?" But then you're over there defensive, believing that he or she is going to be the same as every other person, the others that you have met along the way, the disappointments, the ones who've rejected you, the ones who've disappointed you or something of the sort. Have you ever been in that place where you've gotten so used to your limiting beliefs until it becomes your story? That even when somebody asks you, "What is your dream?" you're like, "What are dreams for?" Have you ever had people talk like that? I want to challenge you to disrupt that story and see yourself the way this story is going to unfold. Jesus simply asked him, "Do you want to get well?" The man went into story after story after story after story. And Jesus was like, "Yo, I don't have time for this. Okay, you know what? Get up, pick up your mat, and walk." And indeed, that's actually what happened. Get up, pick up your mat, and walk. What does that look like in your life right now? If I was to challenge you to believe in that dream so fiercely, as though Jesus himself is standing in front of you telling you, "Do you want it?" Like, do you want it now? Are you willing to decide that today is the day, this year 2020, this decade is the decade that finally that thing you've been longing for is going to happen, and that you're going to do whatever it takes to make it come alive? That you're no longer going to listen to those the old stories. You're going to disrupt that comfort zone. You are going to change that limiting belief and the narratives you keep rewinding and rewinding and rewinding like a broken record, telling you that you can't because you've waited for so long. Yes, you might have waited for so long, but guess what? Are you willing today to decide that even though it takes you even more longer to get there, that it is because it is for a reason, and it is because great things are going to happen? Will you decide that this is the day, that this is the week, that this is the year, that this is the decade when finally that dream will come to life? And that it is you are better off pursuing this dream and pursuing this belief than to keep living life the way you have been, to keep second guessing your dreams, to keep second guessing yourself, to keep second guessing your ability, to believe the narrative that you have to hustle so hard, that you have to struggle so much so that you get it. Are you willing to believe that this dream will come to you because you have gone to the healer himself, that you have gone to God himself to help and direct you to get it? Because guess what? Not desperate times, extraordinary times call for extraordinary measures. So during these extraordinary times, don't go through extraordinary measures through struggle. Go through extraordinary measures through abundance, through collaborating with God himself, and tell him that, God, if it is not by you, this thing will not happen. It is only through you that this thing will happen. Are you willing to get to that point? So the activity I'd like to challenge you to do this week is ask yourself, what is that one thing that you have been waiting on for so long, till it reached a point where you're at that point where you're second guessing, where you're going on and on and on about the story, about why this has not happened, why you're not worthy of this, why this so and so tried it out and it did not work, so no wonder even it did not work out for me. What is that narrative? I'd like you to capture just one, because you have a couple. One, capture the greatest one. Because when this one happens, when this one comes to fruition, it will pour into other places in your life. And number two, what is one radical thing you're willing to do today to pursue that dream forward? Believing that you are co-creating this opportunity with God. And I'd like you to ask him as well, that God, if it is not through you, this thing will not happen. And I am trusting you with this thing, and I am willing to do the necessary to make it happen. I need your blessing, I need your support, and I am willing to walk with you through this. What is that one thing? I'd like you to know that God has already said yes and amen to our prayers. The only thing to it is time, and is it in alignment with his will? If it is in alignment with his will, he will make it happen, but in his own time. But even when it is not on your time, on the world's time, on, I don't know, that if you're a woman, that 35-year clock, bio clock that they keep telling us about, there's all that. But then now there is God's time, which is an extraordinary time. He's making sure things line up so that when he says yes, you will just go, whew. What is that one thing which you're trusting God with? I'd like to challenge you to actually take this seriously, to not shy away from thinking about that dream again, no matter how painful it may be. And I'd like to challenge you to actually collaborate with God to make things happen, because he's the CEO of the entire universe. Who better to collaborate with to make this dream happen, right? So I'd like to encourage you, please, don't give up on those dreams. Don't believe in the narrative circulating about why you are not placed for it. Instead, collaborate with a God who can do great and mighty things. Align yourself with him and trust that it is possible. Okay? So that's it for today on Let's with Ayuma, an online safe space that I started to empower millennials just like me to thrive with purpose. Remember to like, comment, and to subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. See you. Bye-bye.